Hello, this is Neil from Master Edit. Yep, this is actually a video on writing. We're going to be talking about how to hook your readers in the beginning of your story, and the importance at the beginning of the story, and more importantly, the importance of the first 13 lines of your story or of your manuscript, which equals the first page of a properly formatted manuscript. You know, double spacing, 1-inch margins all around, all that stuff. If you're interested in more videos, here at Master Edit website, I'll put it in the link in the description. You go to right here, so just click here for free video lessons, and here are some of the video lessons. I'll be putting more of them up as well. I still have others to link to. Anyway, so got a lot of good stuff here. Definitely one to look at is write engaging scenes like Dean Koontz. This part here goes into a lot of information that's important that will help write a more solid beginning to your story, the first 13 lines. Right, so I have a document here that I just wrote really quick. They're just notes, so I probably have like misspellings maybe, I don't know, or the wrong word. No misspellings with no red, but perhaps I have the wrong word in here somewhere or something. This is for my own use, for I remember what to talk about in this series. So the first thing then is to manipulate your readers. But you don't want them to know they're being manipulated. You don't want them to feel like they're being manipulated. So the manipulation has to be subtle. And ultimately, this is what really the most important thing to writing is. The thing that you're trying to accomplish more, and you want to keep this in mind, is you're trying to manipulate the reader. Now that sounds like a bad thing when you think about it, right? Manipulating people. But in this case, it's not a bad thing because you're manipulating them in a good way. You want them to continue reading and enjoy the story. And so the manipulation at the beginning of a story is very important, but not just the first 13 lines, but the whole beginning of your story, which I'll also talk about, and how to set up a character that readers can identify with. And that is part of manipulating. It's sort of, you know, psychology, and knowing a little bit about that is useful, obviously. That is about psychology. So that first 13 lines are what the editor is going to read. And based on your first 13 lines, that is the first page of your manuscript, they're going to decide to either pass up your story or to continue reading. So you need to impress the editor within that first 13 lines. So remember, you're writing the first 13 lines for the editor. You need to manipulate her into thinking, yeah, this story is definitely worth reading. And so we'll go through some of the things that can help you accomplish that. But before I do that, I want to read an opening to one of Octavia Butler's novels. And so this is called Mind of My Mind by Octavia Butler. You can see up here in the left-hand corner. What's really cool about Amazon is you can go to Amazon and you can read the beginning of a lot of novels. You can also just like type in keywords and find different pages, like a lot of the novel on there that you can check out. So for openings, this is, you know, really useful. Now in this opening, she does so many things that we're going to go through and cover that you can see that it keeps you wanting to read. I was in my bedroom reading a novel when somebody came banging on the door really loud, like the police. I thought it was the police until I got up, looked out the window, and saw one of Rena's Johns standing there. I wouldn't have bothered to answer, but the fool was kicking at the door like he wanted to break it in. I went to the kitchen and got one of the small cast iron skillets, a size just big enough to hold 2 eggs. Then I went to the door. The stupid bastard was drunk. "Hey," he mumbled. "Where's Rena? Tell Rena I want to see her." "Rena's not here, man. Come back around 5 this evening." He swayed a little, stared down at me, and said, and stared at me. "I said tell Rena I want to see her." "I said she's not here." I would have shut the door in his face, but I knew he'd just start kicking it again unless he managed to understand what I was saying. "Not here? Got it." Wait, I don't know who's talking here actually. It's kind of a bummer. I imagine he says, "Not here." "You got it," she says, I imagine. That's how I imagined it anyway. Maybe it's wrong. actually, now before we continue on, there's several things here that she accomplished in this story. She managed to capture my interest for many reasons. One, she caused me to ask many questions. One, she builds tension right from the get-go. That is, the tension is this guy's drunk, and we know when guys get drunk, they act silly, and she hints at it with subtle words that she uses that this guy is a threat. And so we feel the tension right from the get-go. She starts a story with something happening, with action. Now, starting a story with action doesn't necessarily mean a car blowing up. Matter of fact, that might be a bad way to start a story with that kind of action. Action just means where something's happening. You're not starting out with introspection. You're not starting out with description. You're not starting out with, things that aren't action. That is, with something happening. That is, start out with this scene and actually doing something. Another thing is she subtly grabs most readers' sympathy right from the get-go, and this is a subtle manipulation. And maybe you already, just from reading this short little part, you kind of sympathize with her and you kind of want her to succeed. Did you catch why that was? Well, most likely, if you're watching this video, you want to be a writer, or you are a writer, you enjoy writing, which means probably, most likely, you enjoy reading. And so this is a piece of knowledge that, writers understand, is that their readers obviously enjoy reading, or they wouldn't be reading their novel. So she manipulates you in a very subtle way, but a good way, to sympathize with the main character by mentioning this. I was in my bedroom reading a novel when somebody came banging on the door really loud. So you know the main character is a reader. You immediately sympathize, you relate to her, meaning, or rather you sympathize, meaning that you relate to her. So you want to find things that you can mention about the main character that people will relate to, that people can relate to. So she does that right from the get-go. And she does it again in a really cool way. And so just really quickly, I want to just continue part of this story. I usually don't do much reading in my writing videos, but for this, I think examples are really good. Well, he narrowed his eyes a little and sort of peered at me. How about you? Not me, man. I started to shut the door. I hate these scenes, really. The idiot showed me the door, damn it. The idiot shoved me and the door out of his way and came on in. That's what I get for being, hold on a second, there we go. Sorry about that. That's what I get for being short and skinny. And now again, she gains reader sympathy. She knows that a lot of her readers are going to be teens. And knowing that a lot of her readers are going to be teens, and specifically teen females, their teens are going to relate to being short and skinny. So she's finding things to make the main character that will relate to the people that are going to be reading her novel. But a lot of people can relate to being short and skinny, even if they themselves aren't short and skinny, because we've seen it so much in film and stuff. So that's what I get for being short and skinny. 98 pounds at 19, I looked 13. Guys got the wrong idea. A lot of people can sympathize with that too. Guys got the wrong idea. Man, you better get out of here, I warned him. Come back at 5. Rena's the whore, not me. Maybe it's time for you to learn. He stared at me. What's that you got in your hand? And immediately she keeps the tension building. She's keeping your interest long enough in this scene to kind of give you a chance to get to know the main character, and she's doing it in a way that is gripping because you want to know what happens to her. She already gained your sympathy a little bit for the character in more than one way. She's built the tension knowing that, hey, this guy's drunk, and something bad's going to happen, and you're rooting for the main character, hopefully rooting for the main character to get out of this, and you want to see what happens. So you're trying to figure out what's happening to the main character, and this is what you want to do in an opening. But this isn't really the main opening. This is just her way to open the story to get you interested and to keep you reading. It'll definitely keep the editor reading, right? And that's what's important. And the way to do subtle little introductions to the character, like she subtly introduced the character, you kind of get an idea about what kind of person she is. She's 19, she's 98 pounds, she thinks she's short and skinny. She's got a little bit of attitude. She's willing to stick up for herself. You can see that right off the get-go. She shows bravery in a scene that a lot of people would not show bravery in. That is, she went and grabbed a frying pan. I mean, and I'll go and show why all this is important. But you know, she's just hitting on so many great points that I'm going to be covering. So it'll all click in a moment. But that's my time for this video, so I'll come back with part 2.